Long-haul economy class in 2026 is simultaneously better and worse than it has ever been. Better because in-flight entertainment systems, USB power at every seat, and improved cabin air management have made 10 to 14-hour flights more manageable than they were a decade ago. Worse because seat pitch has continued its gradual compression on many carriers. Middle seat elimination has proven commercially unsustainable at economy pricing, and the passenger density on popular long-haul routes has reached levels where the shared air, shared armrests, and shared misery of economy class create a physical and psychological endurance challenge that requires deliberate preparation to manage well. The travelers who arrive at their destination functional, not destroyed, not jet-lagged into uselessness for 2 days, not dehydrated and stiff and exhausted, are not the ones who got lucky with an empty row. They are the ones who made specific decisions before boarding, during the flight, and in the final approach hours that the passengers around them didn't make. None of those decisions require a business class upgrade. All of them are available to every economy passenger on every long-haul flight operating today. Here is how to actually survive a long-haul flight in economy in 2026. Not the generic advice you've read before, but the specific strategies that separate functional arrivals from destroyed ones. Seat selection is the single highest leverage decision you make. Every other survival strategy operates within the constraints of the seat you've chosen. A good seat selection multiplies the effectiveness of every other strategy. A bad seat selection undermines all of them, regardless of how well you execute everything else. The exit row and bulkhead mythology needs immediate correction. Exit rows offer additional legroom, but eliminate underseat storage, frequently have non-reclining seats on long-haul configurations, and position you next to the galley or lavatory. Traffic flow that creates noise and disruption throughout a 12-hour flight. Bulkhead seats offer legroom, but eliminate the underseat storage that allows you to keep essential items accessible without using the overhead bin. A significant practical disadvantage on long flights where you want your neck pillow, eye mask, medications, and entertainment accessible without standing up every time. The genuinely superior economy seats on most long-haul aircraft are window seats in the rear third of the cabin, not the last row, which typically has non-reclining seats against the rear galley wall, but the 70 to 80% rearward zone. Window seats provide a surface to lean against for sleep that no pillow fully replicates, eliminate the disruption of aisle neighbors needing to exit across you, and give you control over the window shade. The single most important environmental control available to an economy passenger during a long flight. Seat Guru and the airline's own seat map, combined with aircraft-specific research on your specific scheduled equipment, give you the pre-flight intelligence to make this decision correctly. Check the aircraft type for your specific flight. Not the route's typical aircraft, but the scheduled equipment for your departure date, which can differ by day and is shown in your booking confirmation. The seat map looks different on a Boeing 787-9 versus a 777-300ER versus an Airbus A350, and the best seats within each configuration are aircraft-specific rather than universally transferable advice. What to bring that actually makes a difference? The long-haul carry-on packing list has been written and rewritten across thousands of travel articles. Most of them recommend the same items. The items that consistently separate a functional long-haul experience from a miserable one are more specific than the generic list suggests. Noise-canceling headphones are the single most impactful piece of equipment for long-haul economy survival. Not because the in-flight entertainment is good, it may or may not be, but because the ambient noise level inside a cruising aircraft cabin runs at approximately 85 decibels for extended periods. This is the noise level that produces measurable fatigue over time, elevates cortisol levels, and contributes to the depleted feeling that most passengers attribute to the flight duration rather than the noise exposure. Active noise cancellation reduces cabin noise exposure dramatically enough that the fatigue reduction is physically perceptible by arrival. This is not a comfort luxury. It is a physiological strategy. A quality neck pillow that actually supports sleep deserves specific attention because most passengers bring neck pillows that don't work and conclude that sleeping on a plane is impossible. J-pillow designs that brace against the shoulder are more effective for window seat sleepers than traditional horseshoe designs. Inflatable neck pillows that adjust firmness to individual preference outperform fixed foam designs for most body types. The $15 horseshoe pillow from the airport gift shop is not a neck pillow. It is a neck decoration that provides no functional head support for sleep. Compression socks are non-negotiable on flights exceeding 8 hours for any passenger, regardless of age or fitness level. Deep vein thrombosis risk on long-haul flights is documented and real, and the leg swelling that most passengers experience on long flights, which contributes to the physical discomfort and fatigue that makes arrivals difficult, is substantially reduced by graduated compression. Class 1 compression socks, 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury, are available at pharmacies, are comfortable enough to wear throughout the flight, and are effective enough that aviation medicine recommendations consistently include them for long-haul travel. A small personal blanket or pashmina provides warmth control that the airline-issued blanket alone cannot reliably deliver. Aircraft cabin temperature is a compromised average across a diverse passenger population. Some passengers run warm and request cooling, others run cold and request warming, and the resulting cabin temperature satisfies neither group adequately. The ability to add a layer independently of what the cabin temperature setting is doing gives you thermal control that the airline system cannot. Electrolyte packets mixed into water bottles, not sports drinks, which carry sugar loads that compound dehydration rather than addressing it, represent the most cost-effective cabin hydration strategy available. Aircraft cabin humidity runs at 10 to 20%, drier than most deserts, and the dehydration that this produces over 12 hours is a primary contributor to the post-flight exhaustion, headache, and cognitive fog that most travelers attribute to jet lag rather than dehydration. Electrolyte supplementation accelerates water absorption and retention in a way that water alone doesn't achieve at low humidity levels. Sleep strategy, the most important and most ignored variable. The difference between arriving at your destination functional and arriving destroyed is almost entirely determined by how much restorative sleep you achieve during the flight. Most economy passengers don't achieve restorative sleep on long-haul flights because they approach sleep as something that happens when they're tired enough, rather than something that requires active management and environmental engineering. Melatonin taken 30 to 60 minutes before your intended sleep window, not at your home bedtime, but calibrated to your destination's night cycle, signals your circadian system towards sleep in a way that the aircraft environment alone doesn't produce. The dose matters. 0.5 milligrams to 3 milligrams is the evidence-supported range for circadian regulation. Higher doses produce drowsiness without equivalent circadian benefit and carry a grogginess hangover that impairs arrival day. Function. Melatonin is available without prescription in the US and is legal for personal use travel in most destinations. Verify legality for your specific destination before carrying it internationally. The Sleep Environment Engineering Checklist for Economy Class. Window shade closed, noise-cancelling headphones on, playing white noise or brown noise rather than music, which activates attention rather than disengaging it. Eye mask fitted correctly over both eyes without light leakage at the nose bridge. Neck pillow positioned to prevent head dropping forward. Seat reclined to maximum available angle, and compression socks maintaining circulation in legs that aren't moving. Every element of this checklist interacts with the others. Missing one degrades the effectiveness of the rest. Timing your sleep to align with your destination's night cycle rather than your departure city's night cycle is the most important and least followed advice in jet lag management. A flight from New York to Tokyo. That departs at midnight, New York time, arrives in Tokyo, mid-afternoon local time. Sleeping through the majority of the flight and arriving with 4 to 6 hours of sleep is the correct strategy. Not staying awake through the departure because it's only midnight at home, then trying to sleep on arrival night when the local clock says night but your body clock says afternoon. Movement, circulation, and physical management. Remaining seated for 12 consecutive hours is not something the human body handles without consequence. The consequences? Leg swelling, hip flexor tightening, lower back stiffness, and the elevated DVT risk that compression socks partially address, are manageable with specific physical strategies that most economy passengers don't employ because the aircraft environment makes them feel conspicuous. Stand up and move every 2 hours at minimum. Not a walk to the lavatory and back. A 2 to 3 minute standing period in the galley area that allows your spine to decompress, your hip flexors to lengthen, and your circulation to restore from the sitting position that compresses circulation in the lower extremities. Flight attendants in the rear galley are accustomed to passengers standing during cruising. This is not an unusual or disruptive behavior, and on well-staffed long-haul flights, standing passengers in the galley area are typically welcomed as a sign of passenger engagement rather than viewed as inconvenient. Ankle circles, calf raises, and knee lifts performed in your seat are effective enough at maintaining lower leg circulation that aviation medicine specifically recommends them for passengers who cannot stand frequently. Perform 20 repetitions of each during each in-seat period between standing breaks. These exercises are unobtrusive, effective, and carry no social awkwardness beyond the minimal self-consciousness of doing something that the passenger beside you isn't doing. The aisle seat versus window. Seat decision interacts with the movement strategy in an important way. Window seat selection, recommended for sleep quality. Trade standing access freedom for sleep surface quality. The correct resolution for window seat sleepers is to time standing breaks to coincide with natural break moments. Meal service, when neighbors are already up, or during the post-meal quiet period when standing in the galley is least disruptive. Eating and drinking on long-haul flights. Airline food in economy class on most carriers is not designed around passenger physiological optimization. It is designed around catering logistics, cost management, and the challenge of producing acceptable food at scale for simultaneous service to several hundred passengers. Eating what is served, when it is served, in the quantities it is served, is not necessarily the strategy that produces the best physiological outcome across a 14-hour flight. Eating a full meal immediately before your intended sleep window, which is when most airlines serve the first meal course on long-haul departures, compromises sleep quality through digestion demands and temperature regulation that active digestion produces. Eating lightly during the pre-sleep meal service and using the second meal service to eat more substantively near the arrival window aligns eating with activity levels more effectively than consuming both meals fully as served. Alcohol is the most consequential dietary decision on a long-haul flight and the one most consistently made incorrectly by economy passengers. The dehydrating effect of alcohol compounds the cabin's already severe dehydration environment. The sedative effect produces initial drowsiness that disrupts normal sleep architecture, resulting in lighter, less restorative sleep than would occur without alcohol. And the cabin pressure environment at cruising altitude, equivalent to roughly 6,000 to 8,000 feet of elevation, intensifies alcohol's physiological effects beyond their sea level equivalents. One drink at cruise altitude produces the physiological effect of approximately 1.5 drinks at sea level. The economy passenger who drinks 2 glasses of wine during the pre-sleep meal service has functionally consumed 3 drinks before their intended sleep window and will experience the corresponding sleep architecture disruption, dehydration amplification, and arrival day cognitive impairment. Hydrate consistently and proactively rather than reactively. Request water from flight attendants during meal services and accept every water offered during the flight regardless of whether you feel thirsty. Thirst is a lagging indicator of dehydration that appears after the physiological impact is already underway. The economy passenger who drinks 500 milliliters of water per 2 hours during a 14-hour flight arrives meaningfully better hydrated than the passenger who drinks reactively based on thirst, and the cognitive and physical difference at arrival is perceptible. The final 3 hours. The decisions that determine arrival quality. The final 3 hours of a long-haul flight represent the preparation window for arrival day function that most passengers waste by continuing the mid-flight passive state of watching content and waiting for landing. The decisions made in this window determine whether you clear immigration, collect bags, find ground transportation, and begin your first day at your destination as a functional person or as someone who needs 4 hours of horizontal time before they can engage with why they traveled. Stop consuming caffeine 4 to 5 hours before your scheduled landing time if you intend to sleep at your destination that night. Caffeine consumed in the final hours of a long-haul flight through coffee, tea, or the energy drinks that airlines increasingly carry in premium economy extends wakefulness into the local night at your destination, compounding the jet lag adjustment challenge. Begin adjusting to destination time mentally during the final 3 hours. Look at the local time at your destination and start orienting your behavior accordingly. If it's morning at your destination, reduce sleep attempts, increase light exposure by opening the window shade, and begin hydrating and eating in alignment with a morning routine. If it's evening at your destination, minimize light exposure, avoid stimulating content, and prepare your environment for the sleep you'll want to achieve shortly after landing. Freshen up deliberately in the final 60 to 90 minutes. Brushing teeth, washing face, changing into fresh layers, and applying moisturizer to skin that has spent 12 hours in desert-level humidity restores a sense of physical normalcy that has psychological effects on arrival, confidence, and energy that are disproportionate to the minutes required. Passengers who land feeling physically refreshed navigate the immigration, baggage, and ground transportation gauntlet with less friction than those who land feeling exactly as they did at hour 8. Long-haul economy survival in 2026 is not about suffering through an experience you can't control. It is about making a specific sequence of decisions before booking, during seat selection, in packing, during the flight, and in the final approach hours that together produce an arrival experience that functions as the beginning of your trip rather than a recovery period you have to endure before your trip can start. The window seat with noise cancellation and a functional neck pillow, the melatonin time to destination night, the compression socks and 2-hour movement intervals, the hydration strategy that doesn't wait for thirst, the final hour preparation that makes landing feel like arriving rather than surviving. None of this requires an upgrade. All of it requires preparation. The passengers who look functional when they clear immigration after 14 hours in economy didn't get lucky. They made different decisions than the passengers who don't. If this changes how you approach your next long-haul flight, share it with someone who has one coming up and hasn't prepared. Subscribe for travel intelligence built on what actually works rather than what sounds reasonable. Drop a comment telling us your single best long-haul economy survival strategy, the one you've tested enough times to trust.